getting full in here. So basically I've created this because this will be my 15th year. And man, I have fucked up Burning Man so hard. I have done such stupid shit. But I've also had an amazing time. And the reality is, it really can help you learn a lot of things. So what I like to say is, even we're going to get on this call. I'm going to do my best to prepare you guys the best as possible, give you some resources to read. But the reality is, it doesn't matter what you do, you can never be fully prepared. And it may not be exactly what you want, but it'll be exactly what you need. So there's a lot of beautiful lessons that have happened for me at Burning Man. But some of them have been really hard. And to be honest with you, like, I have fallen in love at Burning Man, and I also got decided to break up with my wife and go through a divorce at Burning Man, and that was really tough. And I spent one burn in a really down, difficult state in a relationship, and we'll talk about relationships. I've also had the time of my life. I've done sunburns. I've done like 3 or 4 burns completely sober, no nothing, no alcohol. I've been in some burns where I was out of my fucking mind like the entire time. And I was doing things that didn't even have names yet from friends that were chemists. So, both can be really fun. Both can be really amazing, but it's really about like what you want. So what we're going to do today is we're just going to just go, I'm not going to talk too much about the principles. We'll talk about tickets. Can you guys post, does anyone not have a ticket yet? Post in the group chat. And later on, I can put you some places that are really easy to find tickets. We'll talk about getting there and back, some of the logistics. We're talking about packing lists. Packing lists are usually the biggest questions of like, man, what the hell do I bring to a desert where I can't, order things on Amazon, or I can't just go grab things from my house. So being prepared is very important. We'll talk about some costumes and clothing, lights, bikes versus e-bikes is a big question. How do you get around? Man, it's really hard to get around Burning Man. It's really confusing, and even like every year is completely different, so it makes it more confusing. We'll talk about police and party favors and like, how do you deal with that? And I'll give you some good guides to that. We'll talk about sex, baby. And then we'll talk about relationships, camps, how to maximize your burn, which are just some tips and tricks that I've learned over the years that just like, if you do these certain things, your burns tend to be better. It's not guaranteed, but they tend to be better. And then some things you can watch to prepare yourself for some of the culture. And then I'm going to give you some ways that we can connect afterwards, and then talk about decompression. And then we're going to take questions. So we have 55 people in here, so let's get started. That's the agenda. And we're going to just jump right in, which is, wow, we got more coming in. So the 10 principles, you guys read this for yourself. And a lot of people talk about this. This is what makes Burning Man. So we're not going to go too deep into it because it's something that you'll learn on your own. But basically, what you're used to is you go to a festival, people work really hard, spend a lot of money to create an experience for you, and then you just consume that experience. So Burning Man's the opposite. You create the experience. So the more that you give, the more you're going to get out of it. So that's your communal effort. That's your participation. Radical inclusion just means like, man, there's some fucking weirdos there, including yourselves, including me. Like, how do we open our arms and how do we accept people for who they are at the moment? And also keep our boundaries when people have like energy we want to be around. Like Burning Man, you learn you really need to check in with yourself and be like, what do I want for me at this moment? Because imagine if everything you could possibly imagine, everything you could ever want, was essentially right in front of you at every moment. In 1 second, you're like, someone with these 2 beautiful people in a French maid's outfit pulls up in front of you and is like, do you want a frozen chocolate bonbon? And as soon as you're about to take it, someone says, hey, if you hurry up, you can get on this hot air balloon, but you have to do it right now. And then the person next to you is like, I want to do this. Like, we can go see my favorite DJ in the world. Like, that was a real moment that happened to me. So these things happen. So it's really about this immediacy, is like, what do I want in the moment? The gifting gets a little confusing for virgins, because you're like, what does that mean? Do I need to trade things? And really what it means is like, essentially, just give of yourself or give of your things. Try not to bring like shit. Don't buy shit from Amazon and China that's worth like 30 cents each, that's not worth 30 cents each. Get something that's worth a few bucks each, or something that you make. You can make things, you can make, necklaces, but don't buy garbage and don't give away garbage. We have enough of that in our lives. Think about like if you're like hiking in the mountains and you find some garnets in the mountain, bring those, give those away. If you can maybe make a little pieces of art, bring them with you, hand them to people. Like just make something that's the gifting is about, like not just going around handing things to people, but being like, wow, that was a beautiful interaction we just had. I want to give you something that's special to me. Here's something that's meaningful. So try to do that. Decommodification is basically like, don't take pictures for Instagram with brands. Try to cover up, if there's like in the old days, you used to have to cover up like the side of your U-Haul, and people got cute with it. No one really cares that much anymore about that stuff. But the idea is like, how do you enter the world? Like our world is completely filled with people trying to get you to buy shit all the time. So how do we take that away? And instead of trying to influence people on products, how do we just be individuals? How do we be our truest selves and really give from that place? So that's it. That when you come to Burning Man, try to really approach people as if they were your best friend. And if you start there, and then if you're like, I don't like your vibes, then work backwards. In the kind of the default world, we're like, who are you? I don't really trust you. Let me take some time to trust you and then go from there and like build up to that trust. Burning Man tends to be the opposite. So that's what it means with these 10 principles is you'll get it, and you'll get it. You're going to feel it right away. It's really special. And to me, that's what makes Burning Man really special. And it's what creates the culture. And the leave no trace is a very important one. You really need to embody this. So like if you're biking, you see a piece of garbage on the ground, stop your bike, pick it up, put it in your pocket, put it in your bike basket. And if you see it, no, don't throw anything on the ground. No cigarette butts. Don't pee on playa. Don't take a crap on playa, even if no one's watching. Like, because imagine if 80,000 people were taking a pee in the desert, like you literally, it would stink. You'd be riding through it. And some people say there's like these little shrimp in the desert that you can kill. I think that's a little bit of a bullshit, but the reality is no, you don't want to ride through pee everywhere. So don't pee on playa, and, just take care of each other. And the communal effort is we all build this together. I went to the Renegade Burn, 20,000 people showed up with no Burning Man organization, no tickets. We built a city all together. We had parties. We cleaned up everything. We didn't have garbage. We brought our bikes. We made art. And it wasn't as good as the Burning Man, to be honest with you, but in some ways it was better. And it showed that's how strong the culture is. If when the culture of people is, we are going to do this, we don't need anyone. We don't need someone to do it for us. I can do it myself. If you see something that can make your
Hi.
experience or someone else
I'll
experiences
do a cold
better.
brew, please.
Okay,
Regular's
someone
great.
needs to mute. Can someone
Yeah.
tell me what that is? And by the way, there's basically some questions like the toilet situation. I'll explain that a little bit later. I'll get into questions. So that's the culture of the principles of Burning Man. Does anyone not have a ticket? If not, yes, does anyone not have a ticket? Can you just post in the chat real quick? I'm gonna take a look at that. Okay, if you don't have a ticket, it sounds like everyone's got a ticket, so we're not going to go over this. But long story short, I can put you in some groups for tickets, and ask your friends. You'll get a ticket if you really want to go. You'll get a ticket, which is really kind of beautiful thing about Burning Man. If you're supposed to be there, you can be there. Make sure if you're getting the ticket, you're going through the step program, and never pay more than face value for a ticket. That's one of the kind of the principles of Burning Man is like, don't sell the ticket for, if you paid $575, it's okay to add the fees, your shipping fees, that's okay, but don't try to make money off of it. When we do that, it screws everything up. So long story short, don't resell. You should, if you do buy a ticket from someone, and I'm going to give you guys this deck. You need to check to make sure they're not voided tickets. I put a link in here. Sometimes people sell voided tickets. It's fucked up, but I've had friends it's happened to. And I've also put in, if you need to transfer your ticket, I put a link to that process there. So we can skip that. So next is, how the hell do you get to Burning Man? So there's a lot of ways you can get there. You can rent a car in Reno and drive in. It's about 3-4 hours drive in. Sometimes it can be a lot longer from that. And then when you get into the gate, if you get into the gate, basically you have to wait a long time. It sometimes I've gotten there early. I usually go before the gates open. Sometimes it's 3 or 4 hours to get in. And there's also was one time that it started to rain that people were in line for, I think it was like 26 hours or 24 hours just sitting in their cars. So it can be very long getting in. So if you have an option, there's something called the Burner Express bus. This skips the entire line into Burning Man and it skips the entire line out of Burning Man. So there's literally zero waiting. It's absolutely your best and cheapest option if you can do that. And if you buy the Burner Express, you pick it up at the airport in Reno. You put your bags on there. They stop at some of the Burner Expresses, stop at Walmart or whatever it is. You buy your food and any supplies. You take them back on the bus and they drop you off and you get back later. By far the best option. You have the option. You can take Black Rock City Burning Man has an airport. You can take a plane in if you got some money. Another option is you can just hitchhike in. So I've done this a bunch of times. It can be very useful because like sometimes it doesn't make sense to, it costs about $800 to rent a car, sometimes up to $1,000. And that's actually the real expenses. When you take it back, they ping you with a cleaning fee, which is usually about $300 to $400 for the cleaning fee. And I've had situations where I literally spent 3 to 4 hours and then I brought it back. They're like, this is still not good enough. And I had to bring it back to a professional spot, professional cleaners. It was like $200 extra. It's basically a pain in the ass. You can also do RVs, which we'll talk about. If you need a hitchhike in, the best places is the Grand Sierra Resort. There's a couple other places. Or what I did last year is a buddy of mine, we went very early, about 5 days before the gates open. We basically couldn't find anyone in the resorts or the casinos to take us. So we took a cab to the Empire store, and then we literally had a ride into Playa within 3 minutes. Renting U-Hauls. This is another way to get all your stuff in and get in. U-Haul is changing their policies. You need to check with them. It's very difficult. They don't guarantee you a truck anymore. So you have to it's first come, first serve. And they're now changing their policies. I've heard that you can't return your truck to Reno. So long story short, it's going to be a big pain in the ass. Make sure when you're going into the burn, bring a lot of snacks, bring a lot of water. That's really important. There's places to stop to pee. When you're waiting in line to get in Burning Man, there are toilets there's porta potties on the side of the road, so that's okay. Obey the traffic laws. We'll talk more about the police later, but basically the shoulders on the way to Burning Man are very soft. So I can't tell you how many times I've seen cars turned over upside down, people getting in really bad accidents. I don't want to scare you, but really you need to be careful. Don't pull off to the side. When you're pulling off the side of the road, it's very soft. There's ditches, trucks turn over. Be careful not to speed too much. There are many, many police, and they are looking to get you on the way to Burning Man. This is the one time of the year that they make something like 95% of their money is made off of burners going to Burning Man. So they're out to get you basically. So someone asked, can you take a bike on the Burner Express bus? And the answer is yes, you can. When you buy a Burner Express ticket, you need to do an add-on called bike. And it's not that much more. I think it's like, I don't know if it's $30 or $50 more. You can check on their website, but yes, you can add a bike to the Burner Express, and that's a really good, it's a really, really good way. I recommend the Burner Express. And also too, you can get special Burning Man tickets if you get the Burner Express, which is super dope. I'm going to mute a couple of people that are not muted, just so you know. Okay. And yeah. So obeying traffic laws, go the speed limit. That's very important. Make sure you do not have any open containers, no beer within anything like that. Also, it's important to know that even though I believe Nevada, I think has medical marijuana, it is not recognized in BLM territory, which is the Bureau of Land Management. That is where Burning Man is located. So you can, even if you have prescriptions, it doesn't matter. They will arrest you or fine you, or both. So be very, very careful with that. Also, if you have any prescriptions, like for example, even something like Adderall, It needs to be in the bottle if they search you, which we'll talk about later. That's another thing to do. Okay, how do you get your shit to Burning Man? So basically, you can bring it on the plane, which is very difficult. You can check in a lot of other stuff, but that doesn't really. It's hard to get all the things there. Most big cities have containers that go from your home city, and then they drop on Playa. You pick them up, then you put them back in the container, and then they go back. There's lots of storage facilities in Reno and Fernley. Fernley is mostly in Fernley is about an hour away from Black Rock City, and Black Rock City is the where Burning Man is. Storage is kind of expensive. It's about $1,200 a year. And you can fit a bunch of people in it. It's quite a bit. It's like a 20-foot by 10-foot. You can store things with friends, try to make friends in Reno. That's the best option. It's the cheapest one. And then also there's personal containers and if you need, which basically show up at Burning Man and leave Burning Man. So like, for example, like in our camp, we have a personal container that a bunch of friends went in. We just bought a container and then we allow friends to kind of get in, pay a little extra to be part of that container. And that's really nice because then you don't have to take things back and forth. If you have a big winter coat, these giant thigh high platform boots that the women at Burning Man like to wear, you can just leave them there all year and it doesn't cost that much. So contact me if you want, if you need a lead into that. Okay. That's how you get things back and forth. So now is packing list. This is one of the biggest ones. So I've given you a bunch of very detailed packing lists. I have my own, lots of people have their own. I gave you 4 different ones. And the reason for this is everyone has different opinions on what you want to, what you want to bring. So I'm just going to give you some ones that are, can you guys see this packing list real? Can someone just tell me if you can see this packing list okay? Or is it on the other screen?
We can see it.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I'm just going to go quick. I want you guys to just go through all of these yourself. And then you can just kind of make your own. By the way, you can just do file, make a copy, and then you can make your own and delete things and make your own. On these, this is someone from Friendlandia. You need tickets, vehicle pass. If you're driving a car, that's important. You want to print out your burner map. You want some Chomp food guides. You definitely need lights. You need make sure you're bringing 2 water bottles. And ideally like a CamelBak that you want to keep in your bike. Bring a bike lock. The bike locks you want to bring are the ones that have word combinations. You can get them off of Amazon. And the reason for that is to be honest with you, number combinations is just really fucking hard to remember, especially when you're like, in another dimension, as we say. So name, like the word ones are really good. And remember to reset them back at the end and keep them apart. You want lots of lights on your bike. I've seen somebody has a couple lists of like LEDs for your bikes. We won't get into that too much, but just check Amazon. Sadly, Burning Man is really about like cheap Chinese shit from Amazon. Is like, it used to be, if like when I first started going, you had a headlamp and you were safe. Now, if you just had a headlamp, you're definitely getting hit. So imagine just like 80,000 people with and just crossing paths in the middle of the night out of their minds. Like that's how you get hurt, is getting hit by an art car, hit by another bike is it can be very easy to get hurt. So be careful of that. You definitely need lights. You need a dust mask for sure. I personally have tried like really fancy dust masks. I just take a scarf, like a spandex triangle, and I just tie it around, and that's good for me. You definitely need goggles. I recommend getting goggles that are clear and goggles that are reflective. And the reason is, in the daytime, you really want reflective goggles that are a little bit darker. It can get really bright. And at nighttime, you can't see shit with those darker goggles. So I like to bring 2. And also the chances of you losing your water bottle, losing your dust mask, whatever, is like extremely fucking high, sadly. So always bring a backup of these important things. Earplugs, good. Toilet paper, like to bring a little bit. Bandana, yeah. Wet wipes are crucial. I would say this is like critical. I would say, this is a slim pack of wet wipes, sorry. But like this is, you want to carry that with you. That's important. Sunscreen's critical. Lip balm is critical. I would say get the lip balm, get the It's called, what is this one? I don't know. I'll have to look at it, but there's the one that's like it's not the one that's wax like, it's like the medicated one. Yeah, get the medicated one. Anybody remember the name of that brand that's medicated? That one's pretty amazing. Get a one of those mug carabiners, the one, it's like a cup that has a carabiner. If you're not familiar with a carabiner, you can just look it up, but you're gonna need that for sure. That one's pretty awesome. Aquifer, yeah, that's a good one. There's another one too. I can't remember. And then what you want to do is you want to take your ID, you want to photocopy it, and then you want to laminate it, carry two of them. You need one that's laminated that you're going to carry in your utility belt, and you're going to tape one of them to your carabiner cup. They will not serve you alcohol without your ID. It's like Burning Man. You think that like, you think that it's like, it's just like Mad Max, anything goes. But the reality is like, they're actually very strict about alcohol in the last like 4 or 5 years. And before you could have been 7 years old, they would have given you a shot of tequila on fire and spanked your ass. Like now, like it's getting a little bit more PC. So definitely that. You want carabiners, you want to label everything. You want some extra tubes for your bike. So if you have a 26-inch bike, get like an extra tube, bring an extra bike pump. Although these are things that if you don't have someone in your camp, you can find. Yeah, little packs of electrolytes. I think these are critical personally because it's really hard. Bike panniers are like clutch, clutch, clutch. Make sure you get bike panniers. I bring my phone and I just turn it on airplane mode and I just use that because my phone camera is really good. I've tried GoPros, though they work okay, but the quality is not great. The downside about bringing your phone is there's like a 40 to 50% chance you're going to lose it. The good news is, if you do lose your phone, we'll talk about it. It will probably come back to you. And what you want to do with your phone is you want to basically, I will show you my phone real quick. I don't know if you can see this. No, I think it's going to fuck it all up. But basically, you want to put your email, a friend's phone number on it, and your camp address as your screen lock. So your name, your email, your camp address as your screen lock is really, really important. Because chance of you dropping your phone is very high. Tennis balls is great for your bike also. Camera's good. Water bottles bring. I always carry a multi-tool. I have a Leatherman Signal is fucking amazing. I love it. I've had that for years. Bike basket, you definitely need that. There's a couple other things. In your living situation, we'll talk about that a little bit. So your options are an RV, a tent, a shift pod, or a hexa-yurt. Those are, or there's a couple other options, but they're not that likely. So I'll just talk about each one. I personally, out of 14 years, I have a shift pod with an air conditioner, and then I've upgraded to like a real memory foam mattress. But that is like, to me, that's like luxury. If you get a shift pod, you can survive without an air conditioner, but it's not that comfortable. You can't nap during the day. You can't have sex during the day. It kind of sucks. So, but you can live. It's okay. And you're going to want to have shades. If you get an air conditioner, like it's primo. You can get a air mattress is also very good. It also can work, but air mattresses tend to break. But you can definitely live with that. You definitely want some blankets and a sleeping bag for sure, or just something that you're going to be warm. It can get very, very cold at night. Like I said, the last 2 years have been very warm, and I literally was biking around in a t-shirt all night, even at like 4 a.m. But most years, like you need a heavy, heavy winter coat and so on. So thermal mattress, tent. If you're going to get a tent, get a Kodiak canvas. And then also install an air conditioner if you can. There's ways to do it, but you're better just buy a fucking shift pod if you can afford it, or you can rent a shift pod. A lot of the WhatsApp groups and the Facebook groups just post, "Hey, I'm looking to rent a shift pod." A lot of times they'll show up on Playa and they'll leave Playa. Their shit's expensive, but Burning Man's fucking expensive. Let's admit it. Work gloves is good if you're setting up camp. You definitely need a bowl and plate. Bring those with you. A lot of camps give out food, but they will not give you food unless you have your own plate and bowl. So you got to be self-reliant. Earplugs. some other thing, duct tapes, bring lots of giant Ziploc bags and put your clothes and stuff in it. You'll appreciate that. Safety pins is good. All these are good. Toiletries, you can read through that. I don't need to go too crazy, except I want to stop on, you should bring apple cider vinegar or white cider or white vinegar. And you actually need that. I think that is critical, because otherwise what happens, you get what's called playa foot or playa skin, and literally your feet will start cracking and bleeding, your legs, your face, your lips all these things start cracking and bleeding, your vaginas get really beat up out there. We'll talk about that in the sexual health. And let's see, body lotion is crucial. I just get the Aveeno body lotion. A pee funnel is very critical for women. A lot of women will swear by that. I would also add to this toiletries. I would do like an Ambien or a Xanax, because let's be honest, sometimes your mind's racing for whatever reasons. Eye drops are crucial, and nasal spray is crucial. And you should do this every night. We'll talk about that. Vitamins, we'll talk about a little bit later. So, and clothing we'll talk about a little bit later, but this is just one idea. There's also some food in here. I'll let you go through that by yourself. Someone asked the question, should we tape a copy to our cup? Yes, it's okay. You don't need your original license to get alcohol, just a copy of it, or at least in the past that has been true. So just bring a copy. I bring a couple and laminate them, and yeah. And so Janelle asked if I'm recording. Yes. Micah says, if you have to jump up soon, there at the end of this, just I'll post it. I'll broadcast it to where you signed up. If not, just find someone in this one. Toilet situations, there's porta potties all over Burning Man. You are going to use a porta potty like a lot of times during the week. You're just gonna have to get used to it. Some of them range from absolutely disgusting, like the grossest thing that you could ever imagine in your entire life. Like, how did that get on the ceiling? Disgusting, to like, wow, this is not so bad, but you're going to get used to it. It's part of the experience. And then, yeah. And David asked, to tape a copy. Yes, we tape a copy to that. Okay. So I'm going to let you guys go through these other lists, but you can see there's another one. Here's A to Z burners list. Is another list of all the stuff that you need. Read through that. I like this Friendlandia. This next one is just for women. So this is like a woman's perspective of all the things to bring. So I think that can be very useful. Notice some of the outerwear, sun protection, sun hats. I would add parasol or umbrella to a critical item. And also the other item I would add is a kimono that's very light. A kimono that is very light, that will cover down at least halfway down your shoulders, and that will cover your shoulders and your neck. A lot of people get sunburn on the back of their neck at Burning Man, especially during the day. So a parasol works really well. An umbrella is just as good. That one's really good. So make sure you get all that stuff. And then the last one is Amy Chan, is old friend from New York. She's got a really cute a list on survival items that you can, and she's got like a blackout sleeping mask, earplugs. You can look through all that stuff. She's got a really cute Instagram, and she was laughing. I thought this was a cute little thing. Burning Man year 1, she's all worried about how she looks. Burning Man, year 3, she doesn't give a fuck. So that kind of shows you. After you've gone a couple times, you realize what really matters and doesn't matter. So that's the packing list. I actually want to stop there for a second, and I want to just ask if there's any questions on packing lists. Does anyone have any try whisk, skip your period? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, a lot of women say that your period at Burning Man really sucks for a lot of different reasons. So, but it's part of the process. I remember my friend Shonda was in there, and we were at a dance party, and she literally had blood running down her leg. And she's like, "Oh my God, I got to go home and change." I'm like, "Why? We're at Burning Man." I'm like, "Just anoint me." And she's like, "Seriously?" I'm like, "Yes, just own it." And she takes her finger, puts it up her skirt, and then literally puts her period blood on my forehead and starts anointing people on the party and starts owning her menstruation. So, you can do anything. You can be everything. It's okay if you're menstruating. Yes, The links, okay, someone asked if I can post the links to the packing list in the chat. Let me try to do that. I don't know if it comes out of here, so let's see. Let's see if that works if I just copy. No, that doesn't work, does it? Okay, I'm just gonna do one for now and then you can start looking at the rest of them later. And I'm gonna give you this, I'm gonna give you a link to this document so that you can do this. Hold on, I need to mute somebody. Mutes, mutes, mutes. Okay, any other questions on now praying I get my period at Burning Man? Yeah, Hannah, definitely, please come find me and anoint me, and I will take it. And every other man needs to learn. We need to learn not to be afraid of that. I've heard people claim as many as 2 socks per day. What's your sock point of view? You know, Dave, that's a great question. I personally, I just learned after 14 years that you need to get moisture wicking socks, and you cannot get cotton socks. I have been wearing cotton socks all my burns, and I literally, they suck. I would have to change my socks twice a day. And literally, so I went through, if I was there, I was usually there for 12 to 14 days. So I was bringing 28 to 30 pairs of socks, and they get nasty, and they get really nasty super fast. So what I learned is one is I'm going this year, I'm going to try moisture working socks. I just ordered a bunch. Do not get cotton socks. Do not wear cotton socks. So it's a very good question. I don't know. I have not tried this moisture wicking socks yet because I literally am still fucking shit up. So I would say get moisture wicking socks, and yes, bring at least 2 pairs of socks a day. And I'll tell you something with clothing. Do you guys know those like silver shoes that light up? If anyone ever seen those? So I wore those one year, and they were so not breathable. They were literally just like my feet were in plastic with cotton socks that I had to change I literally had to, they were so uncomfortable. It was like my feet were soaking wet. I had to take them off, dry my socks every hour to 2 hours. And my burn sucked because I literally like had to stop and take off my socks. It was so gross. I was getting playa foot. My feet were cracking. So, so basically, and then 3 years, then I forgot 3 years later, I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm never doing that again. 3 years later, I was like, oh, those light up shoes are really cool. I bought them. I wore them in the burn. The first day I was like, fuck, my feet are a disaster. And they're like nasty. I was like, oh my God, I literally did this 3 years ago or 4 years ago and totally forgot this was a disaster. So basically, when you wear shoes, wear super breathable shoes. So they should be leather shoes are really good. Any material that don't do anything plasticky. Women, don't wear good looking boots that are like, you know, that aren't breathable, that are like a kind of a cheaper material. If you're going to get shoes, if you're going to invest in anything, buy really good shoes or your burn is very difficult. So that's the reality of shoes. There's some good ones. Just check on there's a lot of, if you just Google like Burning Man boots, you can find some really good ones. So those are any other questions on packing lists. I will grant access at the end. So that's interesting. Okay, great. So we're going to move on. I'm going to represent this. If there's no other questions on clothing. So remember, heavy coat, make sure you're layering. Layer. So I like to bring thermal underwear, both top and bottom, and then some long sleeves, and then like a really heavy winter coat. Because basically when you leave camp, you need to be prepared for like 110-degree weather and like freezing ass cold weather. And you need to be prepared for both of those at the same time. So essentially what happens is you go out, it's hot as balls out there, and then it starts getting dark. Then you start putting on one layer, then you put on your coat. So first you put on your winter coat or your fake fur coat, and then then it's too cold. So then you take that off, you put on a couple extra layers, your thermal underwear, and then you put your coat back on, and that really works. And that works really well. So it's all about layers. Yeah. So let's see. Important to follow up: light cushion for the heat versus full cushion for the ultra marathon. Oh yeah. So if you're running the ultra marathon, actually my friend Sherry Yannick started that. These guys are fucking nutcases. I mean, I love her. She's a good friend from many years ago. More power to her. People fly just to run the ultra marathon, but It's basically, there literally is an ultra marathon. I don't know if someone remembers how long it is. I think is it 26 miles? I don't know exactly what it is, or 52 miles, something insane. And yes, so you definitely want really good shoes either way if you're foot focused and running that marathon. If you see people running with like, high five them because it's 26 miles, someone says, fuck yes. I mean, that is a feat of man, because it's really hot out there. But yes, take care of your feet. I finally invested. I've worn just regular sneakers out there. I've worn really fancy boots, just as long as you can breathe, you should be okay. Moisture wicking socks. Okay, let's go back and continue on if there's no other questions. Okay, next is costumes. So listen, everybody freaks out about your costumes. I put this picture in here. This is literally what you're going to look like 3 days in. If you spent $10 on your costume or $3,000 on your costume, you're going to look like this bitch right here. So this is what you're going to look like no matter what. So you're going to get so freaking thing. Just be comfortable and layer up, but also have some fun with it, and don't stress out about your costume. I've seen people who have spent so much time on how they look, they literally miss like 30% of their burn. So don't miss your burn. I'll give you some things that you should do. We talked about the feet. So be comfortable. Don't stress. Everyone's going to look better than you. There's people who don't do shit their entire lives, and like literally they just live for Burning Man, and they're sitting like crafting all year round, and they make these light up costumes that have 10,000 LEDs that can, that are just absolutely incredible. Everyone's going to look better than you. It's okay. Look cool. You can do, you can go crazy with it, but most of the time during the day, you're going to wear I would wear like light cotton pants that are very light, like, little like elephant-y pants, like Thailand type style. You can do any style. I got a friend, Mara Vaughn, who has really great ninja, super trendy like pants for men, and like you want to wear kimonos during the day. Women, you're just going to basically wear like a thong and a bathing suit, or you're going to be half naked and just a thong anyway. So like you don't need to go crazy. And at night you can barely see yourself. So yes, have fun with it. If it makes you feel happy, if it brings you joy, go ahead, go all out on costumes. I used to have like crafting parties with my friends, like, 10, 12 years ago. We literally used to spend so many like weeks just crafting these elaborate costumes. Now I keep it pretty simple, but have fun with it. Basically, if you want to buy shit, if you got some money, you want to buy shit, go to Etsy and just type in Burning Man. There's a lot of burners who make their living just selling expensive shit to you, and they got really cool, nice stuff. But remember, layers are key. Get thermal underwear, winter coats, fake fur. Do not bring real fur, or people are not going to be nice to you. It's sad because like you could argue that like, if it's bought at a thrift store or whatever, but there's going to be some asshole that's going to like really try to make you feel like shit if you buy real fur. And bring a light cover up. So men, light kimono, cover your shoulder, your arms, get a parasol. And so what some people do is they literally plan all their costumes by the day. They put them in one of those big, I forget what you call, like gallon or 5-gallon Ziploc bags, and they just label them Monday night, Tuesday night, and then they just bring one costume out. But whatever, do your things. But again, try to be creative instead of just buying your costumes. Like do something fun with it, and be comfortable. If you got any, does anyone have any questions on that? I'm just going to open it up if there's any questions on costumes. This is the thing that people really stress out about the most, and they think they need to go crazy with it. Like you can buy those army hats from like Eastern Bloc that are decorated with all the rhinestones. That can be really fun. You can look like all the rest of the burners, and that's cool too. Let's see, any questions on costumes? Just post, raise your hand. Okay, we have a bunch of them. Okay, yeah, let's see. So Meggings, yes. John Jenkins has got some Megging company. There's a lot of friends that got some great Meggings. Those are really good. They're a little hot during the day. I would say like even like lighter pants, like more cotton pants are really good. Best body decoration on skin without move. The truth is like when they have these ones that are like we used to have to get super glue, and we used to super glue rhinestones all over our faces for burner parties. Now you can buy like the pre-made ones that literally stick to your face. Those ones are actually pretty good because the individual rhinestones don't fall off very well. But even if you literally, we used to super glue shit, to our face. Can you go cowboy vibes? Fuck yeah, you can do whatever the hell. There was friends of mine had a camp called the Shitty Cowboys, I think, during the Renegade burn. That was super cute. And then Taylor says they got a burner boutique in Austin, so you can go check out Tippy Taylor. Shameless plug to Taylor, Tippy Taylor. And how do you care for your hair? Oh wow, this is a great question. This goes a little bit more into health, but I'll answer the question now. So your hair gets fucked. I mean, look at this picture. Like your hair turns into dreadlocks if you have long hair. It gets really gross. So what a lot of women do is they braid their hair into two thick, tight braids, or they do cornrows, or what a lot of women do is they braid in yarn. I personally don't think it looks that amazing, but it's very functional and it keeps your hair in a lot safer. And again, keep in mind, you're going to wash your hair maybe twice in a week, maybe 3 times. If you're like it, you don't get a chance to wash all that much. So you just got to be okay. Okay. So essentially women, don't let your hair down. You don't want to be down and flowing. It's literally going to turn into a mat. Men, if you have longer hair, pull it back, braid it. If you ever watch that show Vikings, go watch the show Vikings, look up Viking hairstyle, try to do something like that. You'll look good, you'll look sexy, and your hair won't be a fucking disaster afterwards. I've had some friends of mine who did not like put their hair up, and it was a really bad, it was a really like whiteout year. It was really bad weather. They literally had to shave parts of their hair to get the mats out. They couldn't get the mats out at all. So I don't want to scare you, but it can be pretty bad. So, all right. So any other questions with costumes? Anything like that? Lots of great burners, New York. There's a lot of pop-up boutiques. If you need some recommendations on that, I have a WhatsApp chat for after this where I'm just going to answer just some virgin questions. I can always put stuff in there. Okay. Next, getting around. Burning Man is basically really fucking hard to get around. So let me just see. Let's see. Okay. So let's actually to get around, you're going to basically you have 2 options. You can walk or you can take a bike. That's it. You can also ride art cars, but they're not reliable. You don't want that. So you need a bike. It's a requirement. So a lot of people argue, should I just get a regular bike or should I get an e-bike? I'm just going to give you a little bit of background to both. They're considering banning e-bikes because they go really fast and people are getting hurt. They're messed up. They're running into people. People are not being responsible. The speed limit in Burning Man is 5 miles per hour for a bike or a art car. And a lot of the e-bikes are going a lot faster than that because they can go a lot faster. It's kind of nice. So a standard bike, I am still on a standard bike. I always get tempted to get an e-bike every year. And then I'm like, no, fuck that. And I'll tell you why. I like bikes because you can see things, you're slowing down. It's easier to stay together if you're with friends in a group, and you can carry a lot of stuff on it. It's for me, Burning Man, the thing I take out of it the most is it's the great alignment. What I mean by that is, how with New Year's Eve, you make all these, these like, you're like, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to do this better. I'm going to work out more. I'm going to, do this, whatever it is. Burning Man tends to be that way for me and for a lot of people. It becomes very meditative because you take yourself out of your normal operating system. Literally, you are in a completely different social structure, and there's so much inspiration, and you're like, holy crap, how did people do this? Like, people do insane shit, and you're going to be blown away by the stuff they're going to do. You're going to get inspired, one, and there's going to be it's going to be a time that you're like, this is how I want to change my life. This is what I want to do better. This is how I want to upgrade myself. This is what I want to learn. This is where I want to go. So I have found that most of that time has happened one while I'm riding my bike, either by myself, usually by myself over longer distances, and I'm not with anyone. So I find it very meditative. And I find that my biggest ideas come through this. I literally, while at Burning Man last year, had an idea to write a book. I'm writing a book. I'm changing my life, and this happens often at Burning Man. So, the downsides are when you're really late at night and you're exhausted, you can feel like a warrior to pedal home. You're like, oh my god. Um, the good advantage of that is if it breaks, you can fix it for sure. There's a lot of camps. There's a lot of camps that all they do is fix bikes. Someone can help you fix a bike. It's easy to fix a regular bike. E-bikes, the advantages is you can just get places faster. Okay. You can see more shit more fast. You know, if you want to go to this party and see this DJ, you're boom, you're there. That's pretty awesome. At the end of the day, you're exhausted. It's nice to have an e-bike. The problem is when the battery dies, you can't use that thing and you're walking, which sucks. I had a friend of mine, old burner. I remember Armand went to the burn and he gets there and his bike, his battery didn't work at all. So he literally had nothing, you know, so, and also the batteries only last 1 to 2 years and they cost about $300, $500 to replace, is what, but you know, for a lot of them. So make sure if you're buying an e-bike, get one with the batteries, check the battery cost. So that means like you're literally paying you're paying like $1,000 plus $300 to $500 every year. And you need a backup battery because you can't leave a battery in the container because it'll explode. Batteries are heavy. So what are you bringing that on the plane? You know, I like this normal things. It's easy for me. And if the battery dies, you're basically, you know, you're supposedly you can pedal with those things, but they're so heavy. And the dust on playa is made of what's called gypsum. If you guys are familiar with drywall and that white chalky stuff, it comes from gypsum, which is what's on the playa. So long story short, when it's soft years, it's very difficult to bike. And if you have an e-bike that's not power assisted, you're not going anywhere. It's going to be a fucking disaster. So that could be a downside. Okay. Any questions on bikes or e-bikes? So the big one is just lock it. Whatever you get, just lock it. Get one of those word combinations. People do not steal much in Burning Man except for bikes. People steal bikes all the fucking time. It's horrible. It's like, I don't understand it, but it's kind of been that way because sometimes it's just by accident. They just can't remember what the hell their bikes looks like or they're too messed up. And if your bike's unlocked, they'll just borrow it. And a lot of times people have the intention just to bring it back, but they just never do because, you know, Burning Man's Burning Man, like it's literally a billion like distractions. So lock your bike every single time because you're going to be like, oh, I'm just going to run into this camp and get a quick drink. I'm going to get this slushy. I'm going to get this ice cream cone and my bike's right here. I'm going to keep an eye on it. Your shit's gone in like 5 minutes. So it's really, I really can't stress enough. Make sure you're locking your bike and do not lock it to art. Do not lock it to an art car. You just lock it to itself and don't lock it to your best friend. Don't lock it to your girlfriend or boyfriend. Just trust me on that because it makes your life really difficult when you lose someone and you're waiting around and having to look forever and you can't go anywhere. So just lock it to itself and that's it. A good trick is you can put an air tag on your bike. And then that's not very useful it's not like super practical all the time, but it's super practical if someone steals it. Or if you're like, you literally, you see this amazing art car, you're like, oh my God, that's amazing. And you see your best friend on it and you just like, literally you park your bike and you throw a lock around it, you jump on the art car, you have the time of your life, you come back 2 days later and you're like, where the fuck? And then you literally, I mean, I've been there. Sometimes even when I know where I parked it, I can't find it. And I'm spending 3 or 4 hours looking for my bike. So it can kind of work. AirTag, you don't need cell service, but you need someone else's phone to ping it. If you want to know more about e-bikes versus bikes, I have a link for that. You can also rent a bike. So bikes, if you're going to get a bike, get a cruiser bike that has really big tires if you can. I actually just get the $150, $200 bikes that are like, the bigger the bikes, the better. They're a little bit easier to ride, but you want to get one that's going to fit your frame. So if you're super short, get like whatever it is, a 22, 24 inch. If you're regular size, get a 26 inch. And if you're like really tall, get a big bike. Your bike, you're going to be living on that shit. So get something that you're going to be happy with and is a little bit more. So if you're going to rent a bike, there's a lot, just Playa Bike Repair. They're usually like $100 to rent them, but they're also like a little bit more to buy them. So and it's very important. Do not leave your bike on Playa. Um, this is like one of the biggest mistakes people make. It's moot and it's a major problem. You're not helping anyone. It's not good for anyone. So please don't leave your bike on Playa. There are some camps that will take your bikes, but the best thing to do is either find someone with a personal container and just pay them to store your bike. That way you can get your bike back next year. You're not wasting. I love Burning Man, but I hate how wasteful it is. It's literally the most wasteful thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It's like the most unsustainable thing ever. The first time I got to Burning Man, I was like, oh, leave no trace. Everyone's so socially responsible. And I got there, I was like, what the fuck? This is literally the worst, most wasteful thing in the world. And it is, because they'll buy 100 things and give away garbage and things are burning and they literally just buy. I mean, I've literally bought, I have no idea how many fucking bikes in my life. That's why I ended up now have a container for it. So Gabe asked a question, the air tags are things similar. Air tags work out there. Air tags are the best things. They don't work great, but they can work. Basically, if you're in an emergency, if you're like, fuck, like I really need to find this person, and it's not going to really work. But for a bike, it can work because a bike stays in the same place for a long time. So like for people, it doesn't work. Don't try to track people. We'll talk about that later. But the answer is air tags sort of work sometimes, but it takes a long time for them to work. So they're not that useful, but they can be if your bike gets stolen or you can't figure out where the fuck you put your things. Some people say put an air tag on your phone or whatever. I don't know. I think you're better off just like putting your screensaver with your camp name and someone will get back to you. Also, there's a lost and found near center camp at Playa Info. So if you lose something, I've lost my phone like 3 times in the last 14 years. It's always come back to me. So people are actually pretty good about that. But bikes, they will jack your shit for sure. Okay. This is some 107 Burning Man stuff. Most burners that have gone a long time don't know this. So I'm going to teach you this and this will help a lot. So this is how you can get around. So the city looks like a U and it's labeled from the inside. So Esplanade is the inner. Can you guys see me moving my cursor or no? Can you see this or not?
Yes, we can.
Okay, amazing. Thank you. So the inner circle is Esplanade, and then it just goes A, B, C, D, E, F, G out to different years, go out to L. Sometimes they go to J, depending. So essentially, the man is right in the middle. Okay, so the man you can see over on the right hand side, the man's in the middle, and of what's called inner playa or playa. And then everything out here is what we call deep playa. So once you get to 2 o'clock, so everything is in time and letter, it's kind of silly, but it's confusing. It's very Burning Man. So my camp is at 4:45 in E. So 4:45 is a clock, and you can think of Burning Man as a clock. So it's right about here, and then E, so it's right here. So that's my camp. So everyone's going to give you coordinates basically by the time and the letter. So now this is playa and then deep playa, and it actually goes way out here. And there's arch way, way out here into what's called the trash fence. The trash fence is basically the end of your world. Think of the edge of the trash fence as your sandbox. So everything inside the sandbox is good. Everything outside the sandbox is not okay. And they have rangers and police. The rangers and police, they sit out past the trash fence with what do you call those? Infrared goggles, so that if you try to jump the trash fence and run or try to go out there, they'll catch you and they will catch you. I remember one guy, he was so out of his mind. He was tripping balls. He's at the trash fence and he's screaming, "You can't contain us. You can't contain us." And he takes off his clothes and he starts running towards the mountains, because basically Black Rock City is in between 2 mountain ranges. It's super beautiful and it's a flat area where Burning Man is. So he's literally screaming. He runs out there. He's buck naked. He starts running into the sunset towards the mountains. And all of a sudden, a little dune buggy starts speeding at 60 miles an hour, goes and snags him. And I don't know if they escorted him out of the burn or if they went to medical, but it was really cute. So you can explore something that most people don't know is that behind the city, there's actually some things behind the city. There was one year that they put a gorgeous temple behind the city, and behind the city is what's called open camping. Open camping is where you can just bring a tent, pitch a tent, and boom, and you can just stay there. So people that don't have camps, or they don't want to be near the noise, you can go back into open camping. It can be really beautiful in open camping back there. So to orient yourself, center camp is at 6 o'clock in Esplanade, and it's going to be like a big circus. It's going to be like a big circus like tent, and that's going to help you navigate. Okay, so there is keyholes at 3 and 9 o'clock. Okay, and then I think there's at 4:30 and 7:30. There's keyholes. What that basically means is the
All right,
city.
I'm
Okay, hold on,
trying to do
guys.
too many things at once.
Somebody is being loud, so give me 1 second. We're gonna try to mute y'all. Okay, mute, got it. Anybody else talking? Okay, so the keyholes, you see on this map to the right, you see how there's like this little indents here? Those are called keyholes. Those help you know where to go. So there is spires. Spires are like lampposts, and the lampposts go from 6 o'clock to the man to the temple, and the temple is directly behind the man. So if you're looking at a clock, if you were at center camp and you were to ride to the man, you would ride in between these spires. Maybe someone can look up spires and put a link to it so you can see with those. Next time I do this workshop, I'll put an image of the spires. The spires are actually very important to navigate. So from 6 o'clock to the man, you follow the spires, and then if you keep going, you're going to reach the temple. Then after that, there's no more spires. There's also spires from 3 o'clock to the man and 9 o'clock to the man. So think of them as a clock, and these are your orientation points. So you can actually see in this, you can see this little like on this map. So when you're biking around, take a look at this. It's almost always better to bike in towards Esplanade and then move across the city or go across the playa. It's going to be a lot faster than, so if I wanted to go from like 4 o'clock and E to, Esplanade and 7, notice you need to go in and then cut across. So you usually want to go in because it's a circle. Now, how do you know if you're going towards 2 o'clock or 10 o'clock? The way that you know is if you're on any street in the city, if you look a certain way, if you look left or right, you can only look left or right, on the lettered streets. If it's curving off to the left, you are going towards 2 o'clock. Always. You're always going down in time. So think about that for a second. So just remember this. Look down the street. If it's like curving off to the left, then you know you're going towards 2 o'clock. And if it's curving and if it terminates off, if it's curving and going more toward the right, you're always going through 10 o'clock. I promise you, if you can remember that, it will be very, very helpful for you. The next thing to know, the man's legs. Okay, can you guys see my fingers? Let's see. Oh, I see. The man's legs are they're a compass. Okay, so the man's legs, they point. If you can see the legs, if you take his cock and go straight to 6 o'clock, then you know the legs, straight in between the legs is either pointing to 6 o'clock or 12 o'clock. It has to, right? There's only 2 options. So if you look at the man, if you can see the man and you can see him straight on, you're either at 6 o'clock or 12 o'clock. And it's easy to know because you're either in the city, you're close to the city, or you're near the temple. So if you see his legs and you can only see one leg, does anyone know what time you're at, where you are? Put in the chat. Can anyone guess? If you can only be at 2 different points. If you can only see one leg, then you have to be at what time? Think about it for a second. Yep, you're close. It's either 10 and 2. It's actually 3 or 9, because 3 or 9 goes directly. Notice 3 and 9 goes straight across. So if you can see only 2 legs, you're at 3 and 9, and that's going to help you navigate. Okay, so remember those things. The other thing to remember is you can tell where you are by the sun. Okay. Notice where the sun is going. It rises in the east. So it goes over here. So around 7 a.m., the sun is off to the right. So you can kind of figure out where you are. It goes across the sky and then it comes down over on the left-hand side of the city, which is right around, let's say about 8:30 o'clock. So if you're going towards that, you can kind of navigate a little bit that way. So that's a couple different ways. The easiest way to navigate is look at the man's legs. Also, what you're going to want to do is when you go out to Playa, you're going to find a really bright blinky thing, something that you can't miss. A giant cone, a giant whatever, a giant star in the sky, a big sign that says electric forest, whatever it is. You're going to find that on Esplanade. You're going to find something on Esplanade. So that way, when you're on Deep Playa, you're going to keep orienting yourself towards that. And if you're not sure, you're just going to bike towards where there's a lot of lights. And then as you get closer, you can kind of find some points that will make it a little bit easier for you on that thing. Okay. Any questions with navigation? So remember, if it's curving off, if it's terminating off to the left, you're going towards 2 o'clock. If it's terminating to the right, you're going to 10 o'clock. And remember, bike in and then across Playa is the fastest way. Any questions before we move on navigation? Okay, we're going to get into survival guide, health and safety, etc. So we're going to talk about food. One thing you need to know about Burning Man is you're always going to eat less than you think. So whatever you put in your shopping cart, like take out 30–40% of it. The Chomp guide is very useful. It's not released yet, but I put a link to it. Hopefully they're going to do it this year. It's basically a guide to every camp that's serving food, and at what time. Grilled cheese, bao buns, soup, pho. There's even sushi on Playa if you can find it. There's anything your little heart can desire. You can get food on Playa. They usually don't serve all that much, but they can be really fun snacks and really fun experiences. They make you spin shit, get naked, make out with people, whatever. It's really fun. So what I say is my Burning Man trick is I have bike panniers, those bags that go on your bike. I highly, highly recommend using those and then just stuffing it with your warm clothes, your cool clothes, and then also extra water. I have a CamelBak that's like 2 or 3 liters, I forget. And then I have my water bottle because the less time you spend in camp, the better you will have, the better time you're going to have at Burning Man, or the less time you need to go back to camp. So the Chomp guide tells you where the food is, but things you're going to want to bring in your bike is like, if you're not vegan, bring beef jerky, a lot of like granola bars, a lot of like in the beginning of the week, the fruit only lasts a couple of days. So I bring like, I love like tangerines, oranges are really good. Some apples last about 3 days for the beginning of your burn. So I just buy 2 of them. But tangerines, like those little like cutie tangerines, are really amazing all week. They're great to give away. People love you for it. Nuts and trail mix is like, you kind of live on that shit. And like, there's been years, there was I'll tell you, one year I decided that like, I had like run big camps and done big projects and brought a 747 out and helped work on that project. And like, I was like, what happens when I have no ego at Burning Man? So I was like, I'm not going to bring a tent. I'm only going to wear all white. I'm just going to bring a little bit of food. And my rule is I can't take anything from anyone. So I'm not reliant. I'm still self-reliant. And I'm just going to sleep wherever I am. It doesn't matter if I'm warm or cold. I'm going to bring some warm clothes. And I literally took the Burner Express in, put my stuff down in the desert, and I would go back every 2 days, fill up my bike. And I remember on the Wednesday, I was like, what do I really need? I was like, I need dust mask, goggles, water bottle, some lights, a bike. And someone stole my shit on Wednesday. I went to a workshop and they literally stole my dust mask, my goggles, my headlamp, and I still had my water bottle. And I was like, oh, fuck, universe, that's so messed up. That's what I really needed. Turns out I was just really uncomfortable, but I survived just fine. And then, so I just went and gave away all my food except for 1 can of food a day, and I was fine. This was a little extreme, but I had gone a long time and I wanted a different burn. So the long story short is you can survive on very little, but you want to be comfortable. Read those packing guides I sent for more food suggestions. Like things like lettuce doesn't work. Bring in a cooler with ice and like taking like meats and stuff. It usually ends up being a disaster. you end up spending half your burn like going to get ice and waiting in really long lines. So just try to keep things that don't need to get refrigerated unless your camp has a refrigerator. Or you're in a camp and you can bring your own little mini fridge, or you have your own container, you can keep things in there. So that's the food suggestions. Any questions on food? Okay, I'm going to continue on. So they have free helicopter rides at Burning Man. And the way that you get one is you get medevaced out. Okay, so we're going to try to avoid this free helicopter ride. And I've had friends that have literally had to get medevaced out. Actually, 2 years ago, a close friend of mine had to get helicoptered out. Okay. What do you need to know about keeping yourself safe? First of all, the biggest problem is dehydration. So there's medics. I'll talk about the medics. Dehydration. When you first get there, you need to drink so freaking much. You have to drink so much water. So I see over here, Gabe is drinking water. Thank you, Gabe, for drinking water. Start drinking water all the time. Put electrolytes. I literally bring those Nuun tabs, N-U-U-N, I think they're called. I throw one of those in my water bottle, like every time I fill up my water bottle. You should be doing a minimum of 1.5 liters a day. 1.5 liters a day. Watch your pee. Every time you pee, see what color it is. It's sometimes it's hard to check, but see what color it is. And on that note, if you're in a tent, you're gonna need a pee bottle. You're gonna think it's really gross, but you're gonna do it, and it's great. So bring just one of your big water bottles. You literally just keep it outside your tent. You can pee in it. There's nothing wrong with it. You just have to remember, I would label it, because I've had many friends that have accidentally drink their own pee. So it sucks. Okay, so make sure you're drinking a lot of water. That's the biggest thing, is dehydration. The second one is lacerations, is the biggest injury in Burning Man. This comes from rebar from tents. So you're walking through camp, it's late at night. Someone didn't put a tennis ball or a plastic bottle on the rebar, and you basically you rip open your shins. Is very normal. So be very careful. Make sure you're putting either tennis balls on your rebar, or what's better is you use something called lag bolts. Lag bolts, you can look it up. They're much better. You use a drill gun. They're easier to get out. And this. So the next thing is only climb things that you feel safe to climb. Burning Man is awesome to climb things. It's sometimes it can be the best part of your burn. Okay. So someone is unmuted. I am going to mute you. Okay, great. I think that's good. So climbing shit at Burning Man is so cool, but you have to know your own limits. Okay, you know how in the default world, everything is set up so you don't sue someone and you don't get hurt. Like they're like, don't go over this line, don't climb these stairs, don't lean against this railing. Burning Man is the opposite of that. So there'll be a giant dome that goes 3 stories in the air, and you can fall off it and you will break something. You probably won't die, but you're going to probably break your legs. And this happens all the time out there. I remember one year, I first thing I saw, I don't remember who did the art piece. They call it the kebab. You should look up the kebab. They just took a bunch of squished cars and trucks and stacked them on top of each other on a giant stake that went, I don't even know how far up. And at the top, they had an RV with like a pirate's crow's nest. And it was just like broken glass and rusty metal. And you could literally climb in and out up through this thing. And it went really high in the air. And I was like, I am climbing that now because I know that people are going to get really hurt and they're going to try to shut that down. And sure enough, 2 days later, one of the cars, so many people were on it, one of the cars snapped in half, and everyone that was up there just went crumbling down and was cut themselves up and broke legs all over the place. So this happens all the time, and Burning Man is not safe. One of the unofficial sayings is called safety third, and people will joke about that, but it's not a joke. So behind Muse Cafe last year, they had a base jumping, and they built this giant scaffolding up into the air, and they had these ropes, and you would literally put on a harness and you would jump off this, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 story scaffolding, and you jump off and then you would not fall. There is no one checking to see if that's safe. Do you understand what I'm saying? When someone builds an art piece, there is no structural engineer that's coming to be like, hey, thumbs up, you did a good job. That thing's not going to blow over in the wind. No one's doing that. Okay. So you need to make sure that you're like, you know what? I can climb that. I feel comfortable climbing that. And you should stretch your limits a little bit, but not too far. And be careful. I remember one time there was this giant hanging, I forget what, I think the name of the art piece was like 2-ton rock. And it literally was just a 2-ton rock hanging in the air. And it was so cool. And I wanted to climb it. I was tripping my balls off. I tried climbing it. I whacked my shin really hard. I looked down, there's blood running down my shin. And I was like, shit, I think that's my bone that I can see. But I was, didn't really know. So I get off this thing and I go to someone, I was like, hey, are you sober? Is that my bone? They're like, I'm not sober. I can't tell. I'm like, okay. So I go to the next person. They're like, I'm not sober. I can't tell. I go to the next person. They're like, I'm not sober. I can't tell. Then I go to the next person. They're like, yeah, that's absolutely that's your shin bone and you are bleeding and you need to go to medical. And I went to medical and they sewed me up and I wrapped it up and I just had to take care of it. And I had to be really careful the rest of my burn. So just know shit is not safe and that's cool. I remember, I think 4 years ago, it was this really cool. They built this living room way up in the sky, and in the living room there was like spaces that you had to step over. And then I climbed down. It was kind of really hard to climb. And as I was walking away, this woman just fell down next to me. A friend of mine fell down next to me, and her bone just shot out the side of her leg. Right. So what happens, and this is like not this. I'm not trying to scare you guys, but I just want you to understand. This is Burning Man, and this stuff happened. So the trick is, if someone gets hurt, what do you do? Hold on, let me just go to this next one. So let me just see. Oh yeah, and also GHB is a bad idea at Burning Man. We'll talk about that in a little bit later. But so yeah, lacerations. Another thing is eye problems. If you have contacts, getting dust in your eyes is a common medical issue that people go to the medics for. Lacerations is a big one, etc. So just be careful of that. Oops, we are way off on that one. Okay, apologize. We skipped ahead a little bit. Okay, so let's see one more. Okay, so what happens if you see a medical emergency? You just start screaming medic, 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 and you stay calm and you ask someone to stay with that person and just get someone just to breathe with them and chill out and get a medic and basically just get help. If you're at a DJ, if you're at a dance party, see if the DJ will just, get on the loudspeaker and say, is there a doctor here? Start screaming for a doctor. Someone will get a doctor, and don't move them. Don't try to help and move them and get to a medics. Let someone that knows what the hell they're talking about. If you are a trained professional, you can make that call. And if they need to go to medical, you need to memorize these medics locations. Okay. The medics locations are at C, 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock plazas. So do you guys remember? Those are where the keyholes are. Those are the keyholes. So they're three streets in, and at 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock plaza, and also near Center Camp, which is 515 in Esplanade. So that's usually 515 in Esplanade is usually going to be your closest medical if you're in Playa or Deep Playa. Okay. You can also try to yell to art cars to help if you get hurt, someone gets hurt out in Deep Playa, you can do that. If it's a real emergency, okay? These guys are real medical professionals. They're volunteers. Be nice to them, but they're staff. They're certified RNs, MDs, PAs. Sometimes they know what they're doing, and this is not a big medical facility, guys. So, try to take care of yourself. Try not to go. It's really easy. So Giselle says, someone ran into the man a couple of years ago. That is true. There was a guy, he was on LSD, a lot of LSD. They were burning the man exploded. It was on fire. And he wanted to run into the fire, and he literally went straight into the fire, and they ended up pulling him out. He died. He didn't make it. I've seen and heard of that. People don't always die at Burning Man. There's usually about 100 really serious injuries every year. Some years there's many hundreds. There are a couple people that usually die. Another person was in between two art cars, and they got squished in between the art cars. So be very careful around the art cars. They can't see you. So just be very careful around the art cars, especially around your bike. Don't try to play chicken with them. Just stay your distance. Okay. Any questions with medical? Okay. So some other stuff with medical is some basic like medical health is eat well, take care of your, like listen to your body. This is the first lesson you need to learn as a burner, your first year burner, is listen to your body. If you're hungry, go find something to eat. If you're tired, go sleep. Don't take more cocaine. Don't take more Adderall. Like just go take a nap, okay? Because you're going to burn yourself out really, really quickly. And Burning Man is a party. It's a marathon. It's really hot. It's really difficult. It's really intense. It's the most thing. I have traveled to so many countries. I have literally been kidnapped before, and Burning Man is still the most intense thing I've ever experienced. Okay. So like take care of yourself, go like have fun, have a great time, say yes to shit you normally wouldn't say yes to, but listen to your body is very important. Okay. The Blistex, oh, the Blistex, that's the one, the medicated lip balm Blistex. I found that one to be the best. Sunscreen, make sure you're putting sunscreen on. Your nose is the first thing to burn. Cover your nose, Paracel. Nasal spray. Do this every day. Every single day. You can get like a little neti pot, or you can get those like what do you call them? It's just like a saline spray. Just saline spray your nose a couple times a day. It's going to feel amazing. Bring one with you. It feels amazing. You need to apple cider vinegar your feet, or juice type of vinegar. Does anyone remember vinegar is acidic or base? It's acidic, right? Is that true? Does anyone remember? Yeah, it's acidic. So the playa, the gypsum on playa is very is it called basic? I think it's called basic. Is extremely basic. So the pH is very basic. So it sucks all the moisture out. So essentially what vinegar does is it counteracts that basic is it alkaline? I'm not a scientist here, so I apologize, but essentially I know how it works. So the base is going to suck out. So when you do is you spray your feet, you spray any body parts, you wipe yourself down. You can put it on baby wipes. You're going to use so many baby wipes. You're going to take baby wipe showers every night. That's how you shower. Mostly it's through baby wipes, and you take a couple showers. And it's okay. You'll be surprised. For whatever reason, people don't stink all that much. Playa, your armpits don't even stink. It's very dry. It's not humid, so you don't get a lot of body odor, but you can. So use baby wipes, carry them with you. Baby wipes all your private parts, especially if you're gonna have sex. Make sure you baby wipe on that. And moisturize every day, especially your elbows is a good one. Your knees, any of your joints get really dry really fast. Vitamins and supplements. My friend Alana Brown, she follows the MAPS program. So MAPS is a psychedelic, and they have a program for, especially if you're using substances, which vitamins and minerals to be taking and when to take them. They have a really good protocol. It costs about $120 to do that. And I did that she basically did it for it, and she labels everything. That was super useful. And literally I felt great. I mean, even if you're taking things that deplete your serotonin, I felt great. Everyone thinks you need to take 5-HTP. Don't take 5-HTP. It's actually not good. It's not good for anything. So do some research on that. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I've had lots of really smart people, a lot of people smarter than me tell me, check out the MAPS protocol. Bring Xanax, Ambien. If you still have psychedelics in you, you're trying to sleep and your body's excited, knock yourself out. They'll knock you out. Have a nightly routine. This is one of the biggest things I've learned to make my burn good, is you need to create your nightly routine, no matter how messed up you are, no matter how tired you are. Take pride in taking care of your body and learn to take care of your body. So every night, my routine is I get home, I baby wipe everything. I do the nasal spray. I put Blistex on if I need it. I baby wipe everything, and then I wipe down my feet. Oh, excuse me, I do apple cider vinegar first, then I baby wipe, and I baby wipe everything. And then I put some of my stuff on chargers because I got power in my camp. And then I go to sleep, and I like fold everything. Have your routine. For women, you want to buy what's called a Shiwi, which is literally this little funny thing. You're going to think it's ridiculous, but women swear by it. It basically makes it so you can pee like a man. You can pee standing up or like squatting, because otherwise you end up peeing all over yourself in the porta potties. They're disgusting. You're not going to just, and then what you don't want to do is don't wear any one piece, like a one piece bathing suit. Anything that you need to take off all your layers to pee, you're going to regret. So You can you can find snaps at the crotch work really well. Those work really good, or just two pieces work really good that you can pull down your pants easy. Just very important for women. And the other one is get pH whites or boric acid. What I've been told by longtime women burners is white vinegar is better than apple cider vinegar because the smell basically goes away faster. Okay. So any questions on health before we move on? Okay. Part of health is sex. So everyone thinks Burning Man is a big drug orgy, naked drug orgy. It can be that for you if you want it to be that. I've actually found that some of the best advice is don't chase sex. Don't try to get laid at Burning Man. If it happens, amazing. But if you find in your burn just trying to go around and find someone to hook up with, you actually miss some of the best parts of the burn, which is the art and the interaction with people. So it's a great place to explore. You never tried a threesome or a 13-some or whatever. You go out and try that, whatever. It's all good. You know, you're a man, you want to explore with other men, women, whatever. Burning Man's a place because it feels so disconnected from reality that if you essentially, you can try something new and you're like, okay, you know what? It was Burning Man. And then that's the end of it, right? And you're just like, okay, I had sex with 13 guys at the same time. You're like, I was Burning Man. And people are like, okay, it was Burning Man. It's not real life, right? So it's a great place to try things, but I would recommend just not chasing it and also be safe. I said, even if it's the hottest threesome in your life, like just be safe, honor your body by being safe. Still use protection, use condoms. You're kind of gross at Burning Man. There's a lot better places to have sex. Go home and have sex. Go chase sex at home. It's a lot cleaner. It's a lot easier, but you can do it. And if you are going to have sex, baby wipe yourself, baby wipe your private parts. You'll be okay. You can do it. People do it. They don't get infections if you take care of yourself. Okay. P.S. The Orgy Dome is not an orgy nor a dome. It's a big tent and there's generally no orgies in there. So, but there is some interesting things that you can do then. Okay. Okay. Next is, I jumped ahead. We did sex. That's good. Okay. Party favors. I'm going to send you this. You need to download this to your camera and star it. This is a guide to every combination possible of all substances. Now, I do not condone doing illegal substances because they're illegal, and I don't think any of you guys should do them either. But if you do, I want you guys to be safe. I came across this one time and I thought this was brilliant because basically, if you can look and you can say, oh, if I'm taking X and I combine it with this, it will tell you, does that enhance your experience? Is it life-threateningly dangerous? Is that experience life-threateningly dangerous to put those two together? Or is it kind of neutral and whatever? So download this. I will put can I select this? Okay, hold on a second. I'll put it in the guide right now. I'll put it in the chat, and if you guys are on phones, you can do this. Okay. Any question? I want you to notice something here, which is GHB goes with nothing, and it's not a great one to do at Burning Man. I have seen so many friends like go to the medic because they've combined G with alcohol, and combining G with alcohol is literally the worst thing you can do. Not only is it dangerous for as a woman, you're very, very vulnerable, or as a man, you're very vulnerable. But it screws you up. So psychedelics are fantastic out there. Burning Man is literally, some people spend millions of dollars just for you to have a piece of artwork to look at while on psychedelics. So psychedelics tend to be the best. Really strong alcohol is doing a lot of alcohol will mess up your burn. You will be so destroyed. You'll be so dehydrated. You're going to have headaches. It's hot as hell. You're going to end up in your tent just wanting to be in AC. Alcohol is not the best. It's okay if you want to drink. It's all good. But I'm just giving you my experience. Like I said, I've also done burns completely sober. I had an amazing time, and you do not feel left out even if you're sober. So Next thing, if you're gonna do any of these substances, test them before you get out there or bring a kit with you. And in general, do not take anything from anyone you don't know. Do not take anything from anyone you don't know. I just need to say it one more time because it's so crucial. Do not take anything from anyone you don't know, and do not give anything to any, if you do not know them, if they are not a verified friend or a very close friend of a friend, do not give anything to anyone. This is a big mistake. The chances of you going to jail or getting in trouble are very high. So just be careful with that, okay? If someone offers you something, would you like a cookie? Would you like a brownie? Would you like a sip of this water? The chances of it having substances in it are in the high 90%, okay? So it's normal to ask, is there anything in this? And people will just tell you, yes, there's this or that. I've gotten dosed at Burning Man one time. I had no idea. I was in an art car. Someone offered me a drink of something. I drank it. I ended up like literally biking around. I thought the Russians had invented Burning Man to product test things. It was like a very long day and I had no idea what was going on. So just try things. Keep in mind, if you're into things that deal with serotonin, after a couple days of doing serotonin depleting substances, it just stops working completely. So just stop trying. If you're doing psychedelics like LSD, you need to double every day. So if you take one on day one, you need to take two on day two. So things of that stuff. But what I would really ask yourself is, why am I doing this? Will this make my experience better, or will it make me more isolated? Do I get anxious? Do I get anxiety? You know, do I want to connect with my friends more? Do I want to roll because I want to make out with this person? Do I want to roll because I want to make out with everyone at this party? You know, that's cool. Just know ask yourself why you're doing things. Also, this doc is a link to this guy who basically has basically said, hey, on build week, don't do anything. On Monday, do mushrooms and take a bike ride. On Tuesday, do LSD. On Tuesday, do mushrooms with weed, whatever. Remember that these things are all illegal, so I'm not suggesting that you're doing any of them. But if you do, I just want you to be safe. Okay, give me a second. I'm going to come back to this. Oops. Okay. And let me just close this down, and you have a link to that. You can check that out. Okay, I'm running out of room on my screen. And okay. Next, police interactions. You guys really, I sent you this. You have to read it, and you really need to read it again. This is so, so important, and most people don't understand this, even that go to Burning Man for a long time. So the first thing to know is Burning Man is not a free-for-all. It's on BLM land, so the Bureau of Land Management land. There is state police there. There's a lot of them. There is federal police there. There's a lot of them. There is local police there. There's a lot of them. And there's rangers there. And there's a lot of them. And the rangers are volunteers. They're not actually police. But the rangers, so everyone with the rangers are out to make money off of you, okay? The way they make money off of you is catching you with illegal things. The easiest way to catch you with illegal things is, number one, smoking weed. Remember, it's not legal even if you have a medical marijuana card. That's the easiest way because it's easy to smell, it creates smoke, etc. So the first thing to do is, if you're going to do anything, do them in your camp with only people you know around. Okay. First thing you need to know. Two, like if you're taking like bumps and stuff out on the dance floor, you know, you're at the Robot Heart, they have cops dressed as burners. And I promise you, you cannot tell the difference. They're very, very good. The cops love going to Burning Man. They have a great freaking time at Burning Man, and they'll chill and they'll party with you. And they'll be like, hey man, I need help finding something. Can you help me? And as soon as you give them something, because you're a nice person, they literally throw handcuffs on you and haul you away, and you spend the rest of the time, and they have to take you to a holding cell, and then they take you back. It sucks. I know lots of people it's happened to. Okay. So what happens if you get busted? Okay. The first thing is, or most of the time they pull you over in your car on the way there. So you need to memorize these. I do not consent to a search. Am I free to go? That's all you need to say. And everyone in the car needs to say that. If one person says it's okay for you to check, you're all screwed, okay? They need a warrant to search your car unless you invite them. And they'll do things to trick you. They'll say like, hey, you don't mind if we search the car, do you or don't you? And you're like, it's until you're like, don't know. If you say yes, it can be construed as it's okay. And if you say no, it can be construed that you can do that also. Someone needs to mute their mute, please. So what you say is if they give you, you can be nice to them. You don't have to be a dick and you can be nice. But if they say, can we search your car? To say, I do not consent to a search. And then just leave it at that. And don't say anything more. Just chill. Don't try to be their buddies. And then say, am I free to go? And they're like, listen, if you don't consent, we're going to bring the dogs. And just say, I do not consent to a search. Am I free to go? Just keep saying that. That's all you got to say. And everyone has to say that. Okay. It's also legal to videotape the interaction. And you should do that on Playa or in your car. Okay. One of your friends just videotape. If they say, put that away, or we're going to arrest you, or we're going to take your phone, don't just put it away. Just say, that's my legal right, sir. And that's it. Now they hate it, but it doesn't matter. Okay. So then if they do bust you with something, they're going to tell you, hey, take us to your camp, go get your things. We're going to take you someplace else, or we're going to let you go. Never do this. If you take them to your camp, they have the right to search the entire camp, and that's not cool. Okay. So take one for the team, basically. Okay. They can search everyone. I've seen it happen. It's been a lot of years since I've heard this happening, but it has happened. Also, if you lock your tent and RV, they need a warrant to open it. Okay. So I generally don't, to be honest with you, but you can decide what you want to do on that. Cause I'm going in and out of my tent all the time. It's a pain in the balls. So, but if you do that, it's a little bit safer with the police. Now, if they ask you, you do have to tell them your legal name, and you need to tell them your legal name that is on your ID card. Okay. That is required by law. So you could say, my name is Joe Tando. That's it. I do not consent to a search. Am I free to go? And if you have any run-ins with the law enforcement, go to Center Camp or ask the Black Rangers, and you're going to fill out a law enforcement feedback form. If you get in trouble, there are some pro bono lawyers that are burners that can help you, but do not talk to them. Make sure do not tell them anything until you get a lawyer. Okay. So don't give them any information unless you have to. Okay. And don't give anyone anything unless you know them. That's going to be really hard. You're going to meet someone. I heard this story. I don't know if it's true. This guy met this girl. She was super hot, blah, blah, blah. They're hanging out for 2 days. She like asked him for some stuff. They had made out already. And then, he gives her something and she arrests them. And, I don't know, true or not true, but it could be. So camps. If you're not already in a camp is a big part of your experience. You don't need a camp. I've camped without camps, but I would say camps is probably one of the most crucial parts, because these are your friends. These are the people that are going to create the vibes. If you get the wrong camp, it's going to suck. Okay. If you get the right camp, it's going to be amazing. So let's just talk about camps real quick. The camp dues range from like $300, a couple $100 free to a couple $100. It's usually a few $100 to like, you can get camps up to 20,000, some are up to like 50,000. I've heard of. It's ridiculous. 600 is about normal, maybe a dinner, things of that sort. So camps, you want to check the vibes. Like, what are the vibes? Are they hardcore partying? Do they into psytrance? Do they love being vampires? Are they kinky? Whatever it is, find your people, right? And then the cost is the consideration. Do they offer food? Do they offer power? What are they offering the playa? Are they making grilled cheese sandwiches? Are they doing parties? Are they just DJs? Do they have a shower? And how much work do you need to put in before and after? Okay. So generally in a camp, you want to try to find a camp that is a lot of times is like in your local area. If you live in New York, if you live in Colorado, if you live in Denver, if you can find a camp that's closest to you, it's a little bit better, because then you can make friends, you can see them afterwards, you can create deeper connections, etc. In camp, try to use lag bolts to put in your tent or your shift pod. You need to screw everything down. The winds get so high that even when they're screwed down, sometimes things blow really hard. So talk to people on that. Invite people out. Be really open to people in your camp, and make sure you're showing up for your shifts. This is what makes Burning Man is not only being responsible for yourself, but being responsible and that communal effort for everyone in your camp. And just, don't ask, be like, hey, this needs to get done. If you see something that needs to get done, just do it. And that's a beautiful thing about Burning Man. So let's see, it is, I think we started 8:30. We have about 15 minutes left. I have a little bit more, so I'm going to try to go quick. So relationships, if you're going as a partner, married, unmarried, it will shine a light on every hidden part of your relationship. If you are meant to break up, you're going to break up at Burning Man. If you are meant to be together, it's going to make you stronger. So make sure you go over expectations. What are your desires as a couple? You should always have some time apart. What is that like? Be on the same sleep schedule. What happens if you get separated? Make plans, then make backup plans. Hey, I'm going to meet you at dinner. I'm going to meet you here at 5:00. And if I don't see you, I'm just going to see you at camp at 9 after dinner. Okay. That's crucial. Otherwise, you're going to get in fights. Okay. Like I said, I have fallen in love on Playa, and it's led to a divorce for me. So the only marriage I have. So lots of experience with this. You can read this article I'm giving you on relationships. Really communicate a lot. What happens if people want to make out? Is that okay? Is that not okay? What happens if I want to go off by myself? Okay. Finding friends. So finding friends, first of all, there's something called burnermaps.com. You can register yourself on the burner maps. That helps. That's really useful. Only if you're Facebook friends though. Now, making plans to see your friends. This is some of the most important advice out of here. Try to make as little plans as you can. Okay. 1 or 2 is what I would say is kind of maximum. So this is how you make plans. First of all, you're going to magically see everyone that you should see. Just trust me on that. If your best friend's out there, or if there's a good friend of yours out there that you want to see, you're going to see them. It's going to happen at the exact time that you're supposed to, and it's going to be fucking magical. You're going to be on a floating dragon high off your ass, and all of a sudden your good friend that you haven't seen in 3 years from childhood shows up on the magical dragon with fireworks behind you. So this is how you make plans with someone. First of all, you let go of expectations. You say, I'm going to meet you at this time on this date. And if I'm not there after 1 hour, then I'm just not there. And I love you. It's okay. One of us is doing something amazing and we're happy for each other. And if it's really important to meet someone, then you say, if I'm not there Monday at 1, and you have to be very specific. Don't say, meet me at Camp Muse you're going to say, meet me in the living room of Camp Muse at 1:00. If I'm not there by 1:45, then life is just taking us a different direction. If it's super important, then you say, if that doesn't work, I'm going to meet you on Thursday at 1:00. And if I'm not there, it just wasn't meant to be. Walkie-talkies don't work, guys. Don't even try. I've tried it. Air tags don't really work. A little bit, but not much. Like they're really behind. There's something called Linked. This is a Dave Shore's company. It's a failed company, but if you can get some old links, LYNK, those work really, really well on Playa. It's basically like a geolocation thing. They're kind of expensive, but you can probably pick some up. Okay, Burn Night. It's fucking anarchy. It is the craziest, biggest nightclub in the world that you could ever imagine. The energy gets fucking dark. It gets aggressive. It's scary. For like 5 years, I just left before Burn Night because I couldn't handle the energy. It's intense. It's the most intense thing you've ever explained. So park your bike on one of the spires, okay? Just trust me on that. And remember which spire it is. The third one in at 3:00, the third one in at 6:00. You probably can't do the first one, so it's gonna be the third one. After the man burns, they take all the signs off the city. So there's no more signs on the city. So it's very difficult to get around. That's okay. You're going to be okay. You're not going to know what direction to go into. Just let go and let the night unfold. Okay. But people tend to get very aggressive. They're burnt out. They're dehydrated. They've been partying for a week straight. A lot of fights break out on Burn Night. So don't be scared, but just know that the energy changes. Go find, and if you don't like the energy someplace, go walk 50 feet in the other direction. You'll find it'll be new energy. There's something old that happens. There's an old tradition that happens that after the man burns, you get naked and you run around. I can't remember if it's clockwise or counterclockwise. I highly recommend doing that. And actually, it's very liberating. And in fact, at Burning Man, try to go naked at least for an hour or two. even or a whole day. If you have any body shame, it is the most beautiful thing just to feel free and realize you're like, oh my God, no one is looking at me like a piece of meat. Because in the default world, especially with women, people are looking at you like a fucking medium raw hamburger, right? So it's kind of liberating to be like, oh, you know what? This is socially acceptable. So I recommend doing that. It's very liberating, but try getting naked, run around run after the burn night. This is maximizing your burn. We're almost there, guys. First of all, the people are the best parts of your burn. Treat them like your new best friends. Talk to strangers. Don't ask what they do. Ask what they're passionate about. Talk in the shade. This is crucial. If you meet someone, just say, can we talk in the shade? Just move to the shade. It's really easier. The cooler someone tries to be, the less fun they are. Just be a fucking dork, be a weirdo, have fun. If you're going to bring shit to give away, bring cool shit. Like I talked about this earlier. Never try to travel in groups of 4 or less, because it's really hard to keep people together. Expectations get in the way. You get frustrated. It's annoying. You can't do what you want to do. If you are traveling in a big group, which sometimes can be fun, this rule is a game changer. Make a rule that everyone in your group has to pee if one person pees. So if one person pees, everyone in the group pees. Otherwise, you end up your whole burn literally just going at porta potties, waiting at porta potties. It sucks. Okay. So next, maximizing your burn. Listen to your body. We talked about this. See the art. Focus on the art. Fuck the DJs, guys. You can see DJs back at the Mirage in New York. You can see DJs everywhere. Pick a couple really amazing DJs and go to your favorite DJs. Go to Rufus Del Sol. They're playing every night at a different camp. It's great. People joke, but Daft Punk plays every year at the Trash Fence. So go see them. They're great. But basically, like, see some of the art. That's going to be what really changes what we do. Do what you want to do at all times. Let me say that again. Do what you want to do at all times. You're going to be with someone, they're going to want to go do this thing, and you'll be like, I don't really want to do that. But you're like, you know what? Okay, it's cool. I'll just go stick around with you. Fuck that. Break off from your friend. Do what you want to do. If you're with your partner, be like, you know what, honey? I really want to go to this workshop. And they're like, I don't want to do the upside down, like put hooks through my body workshop. I want to like go run around and see the art. You're like, just do what you want to do. I promise you. See sunrises and sunsets. They are the most spectacular art piece at Burning Man. It's the best installation at Burning Man is sunrises and sunsets. And gauge things at your own risk. Like I told you, really look to things. Get lost. Don't be scared. Try the Thunderdome once. Scratch out your cornea. It's great. Basically, you fight in the Thunderdome thing. Find the 360 swing. Find the teeter-totter of death. Do shit that's really hard, okay? Push your boundaries, but not too much. The middle of the day is really fucking hot. It's not great to be out in open playa. Don't go. I've gotten heat stroke on LSD before in a porta potty. It's fucking terrifying, okay? It's not fun. So stay out of the hot sun in the middle of the day. Look at art when it's a little bit cooler. Do some workshops. There's amazing workshops. Playa Alchemists have some great workshops. There's world-class speakers. There is people there that you will never have a chance to see anywhere else that you would pay a lot of money to see. Go see them. Visit the temple and come with respect. Do not talk if it's not necessary. Ask someone before you touch them, even if they're crying. Get their consent. It's okay. The temple is a very, very beautiful experience. It's one of the most sacred places for me, so much that I put a tattoo on myself when I realized something. Remember that everything will go wrong and it's part of the process. You got to learn to let go. Okay. It's going to change your perspective on life. Pictures. Take some pictures, but don't take too many. There was years that I tried taking no pictures and I regretted that. There's years when I took like a lot of pictures and I regretted that. There's a happy medium there. Take some for memories, but don't fucking Instagram that shit. Okay. And don't post it. Like, don't post any products or anything in there. Say yes to as much as possible, except getting branded. Just say no to getting branded. Like, where you know how they brand cows? Just say no to that. Everything else, say yes to. Okay. Sunscreen, Paracel, push all the red buttons, spin all the wheels. There's going to be a lot of wheels to spin. Make sure you spin them. Bacon and Jameson get you special privileges everywhere. If you always carry bacon and Jameson, you will get special privileges. Put panniers on your bike. We talked about that. Bring a little notepad and pen everywhere you go. Get a good utility belt. Go on Etsy. They have great utility belts. You clip things, make sure you get carabiners, clip your water bottles, clip your dust mask, clip your dust mask, clip your goggles to your utility belt. Just get one. They're not cheap. They're a couple $100, but they will make your life so good. You put your phone in there, you won't lose your phone. And then keep a little list in that notepad of all the things you want to upgrade. Label everything. Your bike, label it with your name and your camp, your phone, anything important. There's Wi-Fi if you really need it. Go to Plyo Info and it will tell you where to get Wi-Fi. If you're a parent with children and you really need it, but I recommend if you can go the whole burn with no Wi-Fi, you're gonna have a much better burn. Bring your who, what, where map with you at all times. And you can also announce some camp activities on the radio. Always park your bike next to something that cannot move. The spires are perfect. Okay. Here's a list of some other things that you can read. I love Zoe's a friend from New York. She has a really hilarious survival guide. I recommend reading that. Here's a couple other ones. You can read those. Subscribe to Jackrabbit Speaks. And here's a bunch of things you can watch. Documentaries, some movies on Burning Man that can help you understand, get a little better. If you're interested in that, you can pick a couple of those. And remember, it is just Burning Man. It's just Burning Man. Let it flow, let it go. Things are going to go wrong. That's what Burning Man teaches you. Push your boundaries, do everything you need to do. And the burn is a beautiful place, and hopefully. And if you want to connect afterwards, there's a chat to ask more questions. You can connect me on Instagram, JoeChe77, or on Facebook. If you want to, if you want to join this chat, you can take your phone and you can take a snapshot of that. I'll leave that up for a second, and I am going to open it up to questions. I need to find how to bring up this, window up. So give me a second, and feel free to ask your questions, and then I will call on you. And why is this not coming up? And I'll call on you. Thank you, guys. My name is Joe. They call me Joe Che. I'll be at Muse Cafe. This is sponsored by Muse Cafe, our camp. And yeah, let's see if there's any questions on this. Are you sending all these links after Zoom? Yes, I'm going to send it in this chat. I'm going to send a link to this deck that I created for you. And is it true there's been more cell reception on Playa recently? Yes, that is true. I would say it goes in and out. In the past, there was zero, like there was never any reception even during build week. Now there's some during last year there was some during build week, and there's some in the beginning of the week, and then it kind of goes in and out. I forget which one it is. Maybe someone can tell me. I think it was Verizon had the best service, but I will if you go on the cell phone, if you go on the cell phone service, it downloads a virus onto your phone though. So just don't get on the cell service because it's viruses. Okay, I thought done a lot of reading prep, but wow, this is invaluable. Great. Okay, thank you. Amazing. Thank you. Any recommendations on best camps for workshops? I think Playa Alchemists have some really great ones. Just look up the who, what, where guide and just look through those. And there's some really cool stuff. There's some weird shit out there. I mean, like Burning Man's got everything from like really amazing shit to like the weirdest shit, like that's horrible. There's a lot of horrible shit. Oh, something I want to mention to you guys. Burning Man is not safe, not that safe. Protect yourself, like especially women. I've had a very close friend of mine get raped. I've had another friend get very sexually harassed. Just like, I don't want to scare you, but it's not all good people there. Most people are pretty fucking amazing on average. They're incredible people, but there's some bad people. So just protect yourself. I'm glad you're pumped. Yes, AI robot cops. Yes, they're definitely out there. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Any other questions? I do not get on Wi-Fi. Yep. Cell service. Someone asked about that. We talked about that. Any other questions? So if you feel complete, thank you guys very much. We're right on time. It's 10:30. It's been exactly 2 hours. So but I can stick around with any questions that you had. Otherwise, you can join this chat and I will post this. I will send a link to this document in when you signed up on my website. I'd be happy to do that. Oh, the MAPS protocol. I don't have a link to the MAPS protocol. I can ask my friend Alana and post in that group, or you can just Google it. Maybe someone could try to Google it and see. Come to Muse Cafe on Thursday night at 11 p.m. We have a really amazing cabaret, the best cabaret on Playa. It's going to be really fun, burlesque things. If that's the shout outs for us. Shout out Bryce. Amazing. Okay. See you all on the playa. Amazing, guys. So feel free to add questions. Anything that you guys want. I'll stick around until everyone leaves, please. Okay, I think, no, really, no questions, really? Oh, best way to find an RV. That's a good question. You can't get an RV driver, so it's illegal to have someone else bring in your RV. So someone that has a Burning Man ticket with a vehicle pass has to bring in the RV. There used to be services that they would deliver the RV to Playa. It's now they put the kibosh on that. So there's some groups that you can get added to that it's really hard to get an RV these days. They're extremely expensive. They're like 8 to 10,000. So you need to split them with people. But there are out there. Most of the time you need to get them from like someplace far, like Sacramento or San Francisco. There's usually people that bail out last minute. So go in, I would go to your camp and post in that group and be like, does anyone have room in their RV? I know like in our camp, this happens pretty often. People bail out. There's always people are always looking to split RVs with people. And then you can share and join the camp relative to joining a group. Yeah, the big one to joining a camp is do some research, see, ask all your friends where they're going. If you don't know, I noticed in camps, if you go to the Burning Man, there's like a Burning Man Facebook group, just post, hey, my name is Thomas. I love long walks on the beach and I'm looking for a camp. I'm really good at building shit. I'm really technical and can fix LED blinkies, right? Next question is how much water do you bring? So if you can't, what they suggest is 1.5 liters per day. I have found that it's a little bit less than that for myself, even though I shouldn't tell you that, but plan on 1.5 each day. I think 1.3 is probably a little bit more realistic, but yes, I will send the link to this presentation. Let me see how to do that for you real quick. And I'll do that. Share, collaborate in this link, can view. I will copy the link and let me get this back in the chat. So this is the link to the presentation. Any reason why the water count is so low? I don't know. I've heard this is what they told you. I don't think 3 liters a day is necessary. I've done 1.5 many and I usually have water left over, but it's up to you. I mean, bring 3 and then worst case, you can give it away to someone. There was one time I was running a camp of 300 people and the water delivery didn't show up for like 4 days. And we had literally 300 people without water. And we literally had to like go on the radio and beg and like this like old guy, it was his first burn. He brought an entire RV full of water and just gave us water. It's really beautiful. Can you recommend locking your bike to Aspire? Yeah, you can lock your bike to Aspire. That's cool. I don't know if you can actually get it around Aspire, but it's totally okay to do that. So it's only just self. It's okay. Yeah. Yeah. I would recommend you can lock your bike to things in like camps, but when you're out on Playa, you can't really lock them to anything. So just lock them to yourself, but lock them around. Don't just lock the tire, lock it around the frame. Most people will not fuck with you if it's hard. They're looking for someone with an unlocked bike. They're looking for the lowest hanging fruit. El Monte in LA still has RVs. Someone said, great to know. If you are in LA, you mentioned workshops. Any recommendations where to get info on that camps have interesting workshops? Yeah. When you come into Burning Man, you're going to get a booklet called the Who, What, Where Guide, and it has every workshop that was registered. And then when you're biking around, you'll see they won't have all of them. It's just people that like had their shit together like super early, like a couple months in advance. So just look in those, look at the workshops. I like to circle, when I first get that book, I like to skim through, circle things that look really cool. And then and then if there's something I really want to do, like I want to see Elon Musk talk on AI, then I'll circle that. I'll make sure I get there. Any alternatives to wearing camel packs once you get off your bike? I like to wear them when I'm riding around. I hate just walking around and dancing with a backpack on. I agree. What I usually do is I usually keep a camelback in my bike panniers that has a lot of water. And then I'll either just keep my water in my bike or I'll keep my camelback in my panniers. I have my water bottle attached to my utility belt and it just kind of hangs. So I'll either dance with my water bottle just swinging everywhere, or I usually take off the water bottle and set it put it in a big pile with all my friends' stuff. And then, and then we keep an eye on that. So that is the question. Thank you much. Yeah. Thomas says he thinks 3 liters, do what you want, all good. Presentation, I just posted it. Must have snacks. Yeah. People love pickles. Yeah, they love pickles because they're really salty. So like I love black olives, those really shitty black olives, because you need salt to retain water and your body will call for salt. So I recommend doing that. You mentioned these books. Where do we get these books? So they give you those books when you enter Burning Man. They literally just hand you a book and like a stupid sticker and a map. Carry your map everywhere with you. That's an important one. Great. Okay, I think any other questions? Okay, I can't see the present. It doesn't work. Okay, let me just see. Let me try, guys. All right, oh, you know what? I just sent it to Ben by accident and not to everyone because he messaged me last. Okay, can you see that one? Okay, everyone's got it? Okay, guys, if there's anyone else that has questions, you know what? I'm actually going to change this to you can comment. If you have comments that you think or any resources that you find that are amazing, you can comment on that. Can you guys see comments if we add on that? I don't know. I don't know if you can Canva. Can you see comments in Canva? If someone has a comment, can you guys see that or just me? Okay. Oh, question is any police or prohibition on sex and intimacy in public with police and rangers? You know, I don't know. I had sex in the middle of Esplanade once with my girlfriend at the time, and people were just biking by and high-fiving. So I don't know. That was a long time ago. I don't know that they're going to arrest you for having sex in public. It's probably not legal, but I doubt they're going to bust you for that. Because like there's some installations that were just like there was literally a tent. It was an installation called the fuck tent, and you go inside of it, and it was literally a tent inside of a tent with a bed, and then it said like this is the fuck tent, and it said when you're done, put your dirty, your dirty sheets here, and then replace the sheets. It was like a self-serve fuck tent. So I don't know. I would say probably not. Oh, remember the Rangers, they're there to protect you and get you help. They're there to keep you safe-ish, not really, but they're really there just to get attention. They don't know what, I don't know. They're there, they just want basically people to talk to them. So just talk to the Rangers. They like it. They're really nice people. Yeah, great. Any other questions on that? If not, I'm going to shut this down. Let's see how many people are still in here. I think it's a lot. If anyone wants to get on and just, let's see, there's quite a few people here. And say, does anyone have anything like very specific? No, I think we're good. You guys, I'm going to shut this down. I'll stick around for a few more minutes. Thank you guys very much. Thank you, everyone. I hope to see you on Playa. And yeah, and just remember, you're going to fuck something up too. I'm going to fuck something up this year. My favorite fuck up was bringing my wife and this girl I wanted to join us in a threesome and putting them in one tent and expecting everything to work out without talking to either one of them. That was a good fuck up. So, definitely try to really think big, go big, do stupid shit. But just, come with an open heart and you'll have a great time. Okay, guys. Thank you very much. You can join that WhatsApp group. I'll start checking that tomorrow. Post any questions. I'll post a link in that too. Have a great day. Ciao, ciao. Much love.
Thank you. Mad love.
Bye-bye. See some of you guys in camp. Ciao, ciao.
Yay. Thanks, Joe. Bye.
Bye.